For the second time in 2 chapters, Christ has to again address the issue of servanthood. Let me ask you a question. Why is that the case? Why for the second time now? He already addressed servanthood, but now again he has to address it once more. What's the problem? Pride and self-interest are two of the most difficult dragons to slay in the life of the believer. And let me tell you something, church. They die a difficult death. They die a difficult death. Nowhere is this more clearly seen than in this event that followed on the heels of Jesus' prediction. Jesus had to return again to the concept of humble service with these men. He'd already talked about humble service in verse 33 through verse 50 of chapter 9. He had talked about unbiased unity, radical discipleship, all related to humble service. Yet here, as they draw close to Jerusalem, we see the need to talk about humble service again. What was the point here? Well, the point here was that Zebedee, the sons of Zebedee, James and John, and their mama, we learned from other gospels, you know how moms can be, they tried to pressure Jesus. They tried to corner Jesus into guaranteeing them a place of prominence within the kingdom. They wanted to sit on Christ's right and his left hand. Verse 35 to 37 indicate. They sought places of prominence. What did Jesus say? In verse 38 through 40, Jesus made it clear that these places of prominence were not for him to give. His Father was going to give them. And you had to go through some things to get to those seats. Now Christ told them, hey, look, you're going to go through some things. And they said, fine, but Christ says, only my Father can give those things out. But notice in our text here, in verse 41 through 45, Jesus rebuked not just James and John, he rebuked all the disciples. Why? Because they were upset not with John and James's behavior, but with the fact that James and John beat them to the punch. So Christ rebukes them all, and he warns them regarding following the model of the religious leadership and the secular powers who dominate and control people through their domination. They needed to follow Christ's model of humble service in their service of one another and God's people. And that's a good reminder for us, church. Leadership in the church is not about self-promotion. It's about humbly serving the people of God. Humbly serving one another. Jesus is our pattern here. We are to follow him, not the world, not the Gentiles and how they lord it over people. But we're supposed to exercise service humbly like Jesus did.